Merhabalar, hoş geldiniz. Katılımın genişletilmesi ve mükemmelliyetin yayılımı alanının altında Ufuk Avrupa'da Hop On Facility genel bilgilendirme eğitimi etkinliğimize ben Derya Dönertaş ve yine Ulusal İrtibat Noktası arkadaşım Aslı Vural sizlere hoş geldiniz demek istiyoruz. Katılım genişletilmesi ve mükemmelliyetin yayılımı Widening olarak da adlandırdığımız alan çerçeve programları, Ufuk Avrupa, Ufuk 2020 gibi çerçeve programlara daha düşük katılım gösteren ve Ar-Ge ve yenilik potansiyelinin yine göreceli olarak daha düşük olduğu ülkelere özel bir programdır. Program altında da Hop On Facility yeni açılan bir çağrı olarak adlandırılabilir. Bu çağrı Ufuk Avrupa'nın diğer bileşenlerinde, ikinci bileşeninde ve EIC Pathfinder çağrılarında süre gelen projelere, yani fonlanmış ve devam eden projelere, Widening ülkelerinden, Türkiye'nin de dahil olduğu Widening ülkelerinden yeni bir partner entegre edebilmeyi amaçlar ve bu amaç sonunda da, daha doğrusu bu entegrasyon sonunda da Widening ülkesinin Ar-Ge potansiyelinin artması ve daha kapalı olan bu konsorsiyumların açılması genel hedefler arasındadır. Biz ulusal irtibat noktaları olarak, Widening alanının ulusal irtibat noktaları olarak elimizden geldiğince sizlere bu konu hakkında da yardımcı olmak istiyoruz. Ufuk Avrupa web sitemizden her zaman iletişim bilgilerimize ulaşabilirsiniz. Ama bugün uzmanlarımız sizlere bu çağrı hakkında, öncelikle Widening programının genel amacı hakkında ve daha sonra da bu çağrı hakkında genel bir bilgilendirme yapacaklar. Ben çok fazla sözü uzatmadan uzmanlarımıza dönmek istiyorum. Hello everybody. So now our experts will talk about. I'm just, changing it to English, and I just want to welcome our experts who will now talk about the Widening program, the Hop On facility, and then we will have a chat about what we can do for you. And thank you very much for joining us for this general information training.
Many thanks, Daria. And I'm afraid that if I say how excellent is the support and the level and the competence and the qualities of the TÜBİTAK support that is offered, there might be a possibility that people might think that I'm flattering you or I'm flattering TÜBİTAK, but it is a rare case of having extremely high quality, highly competent researchers and scientists being involved in the support of companies, organizations, which is nothing that one can find as easily in similar research support infrastructures in other countries. But on this, as I said, I will not say anything more because otherwise it will be like I'm providing any compliments. So I'm very happy to be with all of you today. And in the agenda, we structured it to have three components. One is about what the call is about, which we call the what. One is about how to write the proposal and demystifying the call and the proposal writing process. And this is the how, session 2. And the third component is the why, which is about building the narratives of the stories that will enable you to access existing process consortia. And all three, what, how, why, are very important and useful to each other. So without the why, you may not cope well only having the answers to the what and the how, or without the how, but having all information about what and why, it is not helping at all. So what I will now do is that I will share my screen with all of you, and I will start with the first session. And because during my presentation, I will not be able to see any hands that will be raised, I will ask Kemal and Celine to interrupt me. So it's better to ask questions timely and not leave them for later. So please, Kemal and Celine, interrupt me so that I will be told which questions there are, or if you feel that a question can wait a little later, I will answer it later. So, session 1. the what and what this call is about. And first of all, the hop-on facility, it's nothing new at all. It happened before. And at that time, it had another name, so not hop-on. And it was at the time of another framework program. So it's not like Horizon Europe, but a previous framework program. And it was at the time that the members of the European Union got enlarged by 10 new countries. And at that time, there was a similar facility that was offering to partners, organizations from these new countries to enter existing consortia. And so it's nothing new. There is a practice there, and there is experience about these in a past framework program of the European Commission. So, in brief, hop-on facility is a great instrument, and I will repeat it. It is a great instrument, and it offers an excellent opportunity. I mean this. I hope I will be able to prove it later, and in case there are any objections to this, we can discuss this. And you can think of it actually as a shortcut or as a service. So same like we have these hop-on, hop-off buses. You see, I have a picture from a bus in Istanbul and in other capital cities in Europe, that they have these double-decker buses. They usually are red colored. And the idea is that there you can hop on during the route of a bus. So imagine that this is a shortcut for many organizations that they might see the difficulties to get access to a Horizon Europe project that is currently under preparation or has been already submitted, that this gives you a shortcut. And why a shortcut? So this is something that I would like to also provoke Odysseas, who will be together with me in the session today, whether he would agree with me on this, that it is extremely difficult to win a place in a successful Horizon Europe project. It is extremely difficult. So it's not a number, a matter of statistics only, how big or how high is the death rate for proposals or how small is the success rate. It's extremely difficult. And on this, I have a photo of a picture of a coffee shop, a traditional old-fashioned, so we could discuss it. But I would rather tend to insist on what I said, that it is extremely difficult to win a place in a successful Horizon Europe project. So there are many proposals out there, but the ones that have increased chances of success and might be worth to join and to learn even from the experience of being part of a proposal that may have failed, but have failed with a good score and with a good consortium, it's not as easy at all. And now what I would like is that we focus on the call, and we will read exactly the call text together. And the expected outcome of the call is that the hop-on facility is based on Article 20 of the Horizon Europe Common Understanding, providing that the work program may foresee the possibility for legal entities from low research and innovation performing countries to join already selected collaborative research and innovation actions, subject to the agreement of the respective consortium, and provide that legal entities from such countries are not yet participating in it. So what does this mean? It means that as long as the consortium of a running project, currently under implementation project, accepts you, you can apply for it. So you can use this hop-on facility as long as there is an agreement from some consortium of a running, currently under implementation Horizon Europe program or European Innovation Council Pathfinder, but I will elaborate on this later. So the scheme further aims at achieving the inclusiveness ambition of the future European research area policy by involving the research institutions from widening countries under Horizon Europe Pillar 2 actions. So the key term here is the inclusiveness ambition. And what is this about exactly? Okay, inclusiveness means that currently from the European Commission side, they try to promote inclusiveness, or actually using the opposite term, to fight against exclusion, which means that organizations, be them from the private sector or from the public sector, that have the potential to make good use, meaningful use of existing opportunities for funding, they should be granted this opportunity. And it is in this respect that I said before that it is a great instrument and you can use it as a shortcut. Shortcut means that while in case some organization would not be eligible to have access to this HOP-ON facility, it might take you too much time and too many efforts, and perhaps many of these efforts would have been wasted to get access into a successful project, Horizon Europe project. While now, what you only need to do is to study exactly the roadmap of existing projects, see the relevance of your organization into them, and then go for it. So, main selection criteria are excellence and added value of the new partner performing a relevant additional task in the project. What does this mean? Okay, practically speaking, this means that you have to convince for the excellence that you already possess and which you may offer to the consortium. And you have also to convince for the added value you can bring. And again, this is something that one might see there. Okay, is there some single way to define the added value? No, there is not. But you can see there what is also session 3 today with Odysseus, that he will mention there the narratives that one can develop so that you may convince both for the excellence and also for the added value. And you have to delineate a relevant additional task, which means that even if you possess excellence, superb research capacities, people might say, okay, we don't see any added value that you can bring to this consortium. But even in case you possess excellence and you may convince them for this, and you may also convince them about the added value you can bring, you will still need to describe relevant tasks that will be included in the work program of the project, which will be owned by you, the new partner, and which can, in harmony with existing tasks, operate and increase the success potential for the project. So there are these 3 steps, if you like, that you have to convince for the excellence that you bring and the added value, and then also that you have also some relevant tasks in mind to suggest to the consortium. All consortium partners need to agree on the accession of the new partner, whereas the research and innovation relevance and complementarity needs to be demonstrated. The accepted application will trigger a grant agreement amendment with the service in charge of the related topic. So here come tactics on the stage. So there should be an unanimous agreement consensually by all consortium partners that the new entity, organization, a university, a research center, or a company, or a public sector entity will be welcome into an existing project. And practically speaking here, this means that you have to convince the coordinator. Usually, if the coordinator agrees, they can manage to acquire the agreement of the entire consortium. Of course, there are always special cases and exceptions and problem cases, so that you get on board. This is not as easy as it seems. And sometimes it might be that instead of addressing or contacting directly the coordinator, you may find some partner from an existing consortium, whom for some reason you might feel it might be more comfortable for you to approach that partner, and then through that partner you can get access to the coordinator or to the entire consortium. The thing there is that what is actually asked there about relevance and complementarity, they are explicitly mentioned, but they don't mean as much as one thinks, which means that it might be something very relative. And in this respect, it is also that existing projects, they might welcome different types of partners, which might provide different types of excellence or provide relevance or add the value of an existing project in different ways. And at the end, projects can only choose for one accession partner with whom they will proceed in the HOP-on facility proposal submission, which means that it might be that you will need diplomatic skills to convince that you are the right partner. And there again, you can develop some convincing narratives so that you will win an entry place in the consortium, while some others will have tried, but they will not have convinced the consortium or the coordinator to get on board. One asset, but I will keep it for later for the strong cards, but I think that what I would understand as the biggest asset that you might have is the extreme agility that you can exhibit in being part of a consortium. And this is something that one should not underestimate. And for me, this is a very big asset. So you may regard this that is part of soft skills, and they are extremely important for this type of projects. Projects results are expected to contribute to the following expected outcomes. And there are three levels. We will look at each of them separately. First of all, at system level, it mobilizes excellence in the widening countries, increases visibility of the participants from the widening countries, improves knowledge circulation, and reduces lack of participation of the widening countries in specific thematic domains. So this is the contribution that is expected to be done at the level of, at the highest level, which is at the country level. Why being part of this project is good for your widening country. So in that case, it is for Turkey. This is the system level, okay? And good for the widening country can also be understood as good for EU at large. But this is, as I mentioned, a rather high level, which needs to be addressed, okay? So being high level does mean there that it doesn't need to be addressed at all. And there is that you have to present a narrative that there is some type of win-win by inclusion of your organization into the project. It is a win-win between EU and Turkey. It may be that the project is in an area where there is some emerging market, or where there are existing needs, and increasing your skills level to address these needs will be channeled in wide parts of the society, or there is already a market there that is mature for this. So this is the highest level. And then we have to document this by providing the necessary story, okay? The second level is that project results are expected also, apart from the system level, at organization level, that silos of established close consortia open, and we improve research excellence of the widening countries institutions, not necessarily public entities, but also private entities, in specific fields, enlarging outreach of the participants, research and innovation actions, and providing access to new talent pools. So here, the key word is this silos thinking and silos that open. Okay, this is also important to show there that by being part of these, you are fighting against exclusion, which is fostered by silos and silos thinking. And consortia should open, consortia should become extroverted. And this is the thing there again, that there may be a consortium that is excellent in terms of research potential, innovation potential, but they are introverted. They will not share their results with those that may badly need them. And by having you being involved there and using the hop-on facility, you target exactly this, which might be a very convincing also argument to use when trying to enter a consortium and convincing the coordinator. And consortia should also share what they already have access to, be it knowledge, networks, or visibility. So all these assets that an existing consortium has access to from public money, which means that at some point you may regard there that you have some good rights to demand your inclusion in existing Horizon Europe projects. And there, if you have a convincing strategy, consortia, even if they might be close-minded and introverted, they should open up. But it's better if they open up as a result of diplomacy, okay? Otherwise, they might always say no. And the key term here is the concept of the talent pools. So again there, and this is something that I mentioned before, that this is an asset from your side, that companies, organizations, institutions of Turkey, you have the capacity to exhibit excellence regarding talent pools, okay? And the third level where contributions to the expected outcome can take place is the level of the beneficiary, which means that this is the specific level of your company, your organization, and how you will gain new competencies and skills, okay? And as I mentioned before, this is the lowest level, so this is very tangible, this is very practical, so this is not something that can be regarded as high or open-ended. And this should be regarded both in terms of the considered value chain and not only in terms of the value that the project can bring to you. And the gain for the new partners should be in different levels. So it's not only about acquiring new skills and competencies, but also build skills for research management and other aspects such as dissemination, exploitation, which are extremely important. So there might be not only that you can bring excellence in core research and innovation tasks, but that you will also have the opportunity, be given the opportunity by being part of a hop-on facility project to increase your competence levels for research management, dissemination, and exploitation, which are not peripheral activities at all. They're at the same level of being important as research and innovation actions. Okay, so as you may all know, impact, which is mainly related with dissemination and exploitation, is same important as research and scientific excellence. And all worth note here is on the vicious cycle of illiteracy on these two previous aspects. So that one may find excellent researchers, excellent scientific institutions, but their research management skills and the skills and competence of their people regarding dissemination and exploitation is relatively limited. Okay, and this is something that you can equal out as a result of being involved in such a project. About the scope, the hop-on facility integrates one additional participant from a widening country to an ongoing project under Pillar 2 or the EIC Pathfinder scheme, while topping up a relevant task or work package and the cost incurred by the additional participant. This will happen on a voluntary basis without affecting the freedom of choice for the consortium and the principle of excellence. So this means actually that even if you may be the best of the best, you have still to convince a consortium to accept you. Otherwise, the consortium, they have all the power to keep a decision to not choose any accession partner at all. Okay, so pillar 2 actually is the most important pillar for organizations because of its richness of thematic fields. So all actually application-oriented research fields are there: health, culture, security, security for society, calls for robotics, for digital, for anything there that concentrates much attention and interest from organizations is related with Pillar 2. And Pillar 2 was also in the previous framework program, not only in Horizon Europe, but also in Horizon 2020. And about Pathfinder, again, we have the Pathfinder Open and the Pathfinder Challenges. So either part of the open funding or part of the European Innovation Council strategic challenges that you can apply for, which means that actually it might be everything that attracts attention and concentrates interest that actually is offered to you to use for the Hop On facility.
So Diamantis, could you reopen your presentation? For a while we couldn't see your presentation.
Okay, I will share again. I was disrupted a few times by needing to. I heard that the recording had stopped and then it started again. So I will. Was this slide a slide that you were able to see or not? Kemal, was this a slide that you were able to see?
Yes, we can see it. We can see it.
Okay. And you have seen it also before, or it's now only that you see this? Okay. So this was what I mentioned before, that actually Pillar 2 and the Pathfinder challenges are the ones that concentrate people's interest and are calls that are heavily populated with fierce competition, which means that considering now for you to use the Hop On facility and offering you a shortcut to access existing projects of Pathfinder and Pillar 2 is an excellent opportunity. So, and the idea there is that for an existing project with its already existing structure in terms of tasks, work packages, activities, this project will get topped up with an additional work package that will need to be in harmony, and so there that you will either use outcomes and results of the existing work packages to feed into your work package, or your work package will feed with its own activities existing tasks of the already running project. Okay. So the Hop On facility is open to all topics under Pillar 2 and the EIC Pathfinder. Applications with activities that contribute to the policy objective of the transition towards a green and digital economy are especially encouraged. Okay, I mentioned this already about this opportunity, that it's not easy to find at all, that it's open to all topics. So you can go there and choose the topics that lie closest to your interests, business interests, or scientific record and research expertise and research identity, if you like. And the other is the special focus and importance about green and digital economy. So one may read here what was 2 years before about the European Green Deal. So anything that can be associated or used by you in your narrative, that with your extra work package and your accession into an existing project, you also improve the potential for transition towards a green and digital economy, this is something that strengthens your position there. The action will be part of an existing project with a valid grant agreement, and this means that it's currently running, still under implementation, and actually most Horizon Europe program projects, they have started just before a few months, so it will not be something that the project is close to its completion. And applications must demonstrate the research innovation added value of the new partner and present a visible and distinct work package for the acceding partner. Why visible and distinct work package? Because this is the easiest also from the Commission to control and prove the gives and takes and the contributions, and make also some assessment of the costs that will be incurred by the additional activities. Ideally, it would be if the accession partners would become members and partners to all currently under implementation tasks and work packages, so that you would get networked in a seamless way to the existing project. But this would be practically difficult because there should be a reconsideration. So they would need, so to say, to recompile an existing project agreement with respect to the inclusion of an extra partner. So it's easier for them to control that, look, you have to present your own work package and make it have inputs and outputs, inflows and outflows with the existing project. And as I said, can you imagine the complexity of revising the entire existing project description to reflect the interdependencies with a new partner? It might be chaotic, it might be very difficult. And proposals should include a detailed description of the profile of the new partner and its roles in the existing project. This is obvious. Okay. Additional partner and tasks should be presented in a distinct font or color in a document based on a description of the action, of the ongoing action. This is a technicality. Selected consortia will be invited to submit an amendment request for accession of a new partner, modification of the description of the action, and upgrade of the budget. Again, this is an important technicality, and this should not bother you. It's for the coordinator mainly to take care after. And bureaucratic burdens will not be avoided, but still will be dealt once your proposal will be accepted, which is a good thing. Okay. The budget increase must be exclusively accounted at the benefit of the new partner. So to all of you, with the exception of a coordination fee of up to 10% of the increased budget to be allocated to the coordinator. So you can see there that apart from extroversion and opening up silos, the coordinators of projects will have a very good reason why to get you on board. And actually, this 10% makes sense. And many coordinators would appreciate this extra bonus funding, especially for projects that will be nearing completion. They might need to extend contracts of people. They might keep even some people for one additional year on their payroll, which is very important for coordinators, which may come from universities or research centers in Europe. So they may be extremely eager to welcome you on board. And it's only a matter of how good will be your narrative there. So this is an old worth incentive for them to welcome a new partner. And based on our experience, the overheads administratively for a new partner might not be at the level of 10%, which means that this gives them good space for making good use, to avoid using the term profit, but making good use of this extra funding also for their own reasons. Specific topic conditions. They mentioned there that the indicative allocation of the budget to each call deadline is 20 million. There has been also one cutoff date in the past, and this is sufficient funding to allow for several projects. And in the previous cutoff date, there were only 7 proposals that had been submitted. Now competition may be fiercer, so better to plan for humbler budgets. So don't think there that, okay, in this call there may be 10 proposals that will be funded, not necessarily only submitted, so we can go for 2 million. So no, I would suggest plan the funding, the resources, without looking necessarily about how much can be the allocated funding. If an extra work package that will be associated with you think it might cost only 250,000 euros, then present this number, top up this number with another 10% that's for the coordinator, so make it 250 plus 25 equals 275, which may be a very humble number, but it might be for a winning project. So if you go there and cost a work package that under normal conditions would cost only 250,000 euros, you cost it 750, it will not be convincing at all. It might even cause the opposite reaction to the reviewers. They might say, no, the work that is presented is good, is relevant, there is added value, there is excellence, but the price is 3 times higher than it should be. So for me, at least, I don't know if Odysseus, you would agree there, but I would prefer to go for a lower number than for a high number. Yeah, but there is no evidence there what is right or wrong. Sometimes we all base our decisions on our gut feeling. Yeah,
you should go for what makes sense. I mean, sometimes it makes sense to have a higher budget, but and this is something actually that Turkish participants should take attention of, because the rates in Turkey are quite low because of the situation. But don't try to artificially float that and try to artificially expand this. Unfortunately, this is the case, and you have to work with these rates. So there is, if you try to artificially make your budget, increase your budget by having higher rates or by including too many person months in the deliverables, then this is something that will be obvious in the proposal.
The other thing there, which we will, I will have the opportunity again to ask Odysseus for his opinion in the next session, and we will for sure discuss it again, possibly in session 4, is that it explicitly mentions there will be a new added work package, which may be related with technical aspects, but a new partner needs, and this is also something that is welcomed and supposedly promoted and supported by the call and the information that the call is providing in the templates for the proposal, that a new accession partner will have also access to activities related with dissemination, exploitation, which means that at some point, this new additional work package will be like a mini project, which means that at some point it will be natural that it will expand in resources, but at least it's better if you see this happening as a result of a natural evolution in the planning of your involvement in the project than start from the beginning, like, okay, we will design and engineer our accession to have a level of €500,000 there, or €750,000, okay? And this is actually the call identity and the link to the call. This is the exact text that I used from the call, and this was in the left column, and in the right column was my comments and my remarks to it. And for any follow-up questions, feel very comfortable to contact me anytime. So it may not be today or tomorrow, it may be after some weeks or at some point in September. So feel very comfortable to come back to me, but also to the help desk of the project with any question. So now I may stop sharing the screen. I will have a look, Kemal, if there are any pending questions. If there are no pending questions, I will then proceed to the next.
So, Yaman, it seems that we have no questions right now. If any, I will let you know. Please let me know if you want to ask any Slido questions to the audience as well.
Yes, yes. I think that now, because we have separated, we have some Slido questions that we would like to have asked before we start. So, Kemal, nice that you reminded me of this, but still, because we are in the warm-up phase, it's good to ask 4 questions, Slido questions now to get your responses. So please, Kemal, you may open the Slido questions, and then we have at the end of the event, we have another 3 questions that we would like to ask. Yeah. So. So the first question is, how much do you know about the Hop-on facility? Again, it's not a problem at all if you don't know anything. The reason that you are here is so that you learn, but it might also give us some good idea about, so for TÜBİTAK especially, it would be good for policy planning and programming purposes. And the thing there is that, as I mentioned, it is an excellent instrument. So it's not like all other calls. It is a special call because it can provide you with a shortcut to access existing successful consortia than waiting outside and trying to get access to possibly some consortium that will submit a proposal which may win or not win. And the other question is, do you see Hop-on facility as an opportunity to get involved in key areas? So it's mainly the strategic interest that is the driver, the opportunity to get access to funding and learn the game, or the idea to build long-standing collaborations. So again, here it's nothing there that it can be only the one or the other. You may also vote for all 3 of them. But the difference there is that one is that you gain access to some area that you have a strategic interest for your organization. The other is that you can build long-standing collaboration. And the third is simply the funding. And what is the biggest difficulty you foresee in using the opportunity of the Hop-on facility? And here, again, it might be very important so that we could see also how we can provide you help and support. So with what you have already heard, whether you think there that the biggest difficulty will be the difficulty in approaching and convincing established consortia and coordinators. The other might be the lack of experience on how to present your assets as an attractive future partner. The other is difficulty in building relevant thread on how to get involved in an ongoing project, so like a story. And the other might be other institutional or organizational difficulties. So of course, this is the reason that we have Slido questions. If we knew the answers, we wouldn't ask the questions. But for me, it's a surprise that I would expect also that the difficulty in approaching, I would expect it might still be there, but not having an amount of 92, while the other ones might still be more relevant. But this is something that I would like. I know it's not possible to have a discussion like we have in a live event where people can raise their hand and talk, but it is something that I would like if you can write down in the chat box your own perception about this difficulty in approaching so that we can then discuss them in the final round in session 4. What do you think may be your strongest? Just go back again, please, Kemal, to the last question. What do you think may be your strongest cards? Excellence and added value you can bring as a new partner in consortium, which is okay. Innovation in the first approach in performing additional tasks in a project, which is okay. Broadening the user customer base for innovation with a new big market, Turkey, only 15%. I think that this is, okay, again, as I said, we ask the questions because we don't know the answers. On the other hand, I would suggest that this third aspect about broadening the user customer base for innovation with a new big market, which can be Turkey, it's something that you should consider as one of your important arguments. That Turkey, instead of being a very strong actor who can contribute and enrich the research and innovation field in Europe, so instead of the intakes that existing consortia can take from the inclusion of a partner from Turkey. There can be also outflows from the consortium that they may broaden their market, and whatever this market can be. So it doesn't need necessarily to be for a project that deals with innovations in healthcare, in medicine, or in Industry 4.0. It can be also for a project that might be much more related with EIC Pathfinder challenges. So don't, so for me, you should look at it as even a way to win a consortium. So for me, it might be that all partners, so imagine now that from some other widening countries, Odysseus, Kemal, name me a few other widening countries that might be eligible here. People might come and try to convince that excellence and added value that the partners can bring. But it's not that all of them can show there that they can increase the customer base as massively and extensively as Turkey. Yeah.
Well, widening partners, yes, you're right. I mean, widening partners, according to Horizon Europe, we have a lot more now than we used to have in Horizon 2020. So the competition is fiercer. We have the Balkans, we have the Baltics, we have Greece, Portugal from member states. We have Tunisia, Morocco, if I remember correctly. So there are some considerable competition, especially from the Baltics and the Balkans for Turkey. But still, we shouldn't forget that Turkey is a big market and it's all well established.
Yeah, it's exactly this, which means I think that with all due respect to all the other countries, and this has also mentioned Greece, that I come from Greece, but I think that Turkey as a market for the research and innovation exploitation is huge and is incomparable to all other countries there, which means that if this can be a convincing argument to get access, then you should go make use of it. And instead of trying to win an entry place using the excellence argument, you could win this place using the impact argument about dissemination and exploitation. Okay. I think that Kemal, we are done. Is there any pending other question from the Slido
yes, Diamantis, not on Slido but on Zoom. On the bottom menu, there is a question from Mr. Özçar. I think you will be able to see it.
Yes, as far as I understood, there has to be one work package submitted to the consortium and the call by the additional partners. All work packages will be on the new partner as well as all the tasks. This will be what we will now discuss. Isn't it a little chaotic? Yes, it is. And it's not only chaotic, it's even worse a little bit, unless someone tries to see there that if you are offered actually 3 pages for this new work program, you have to then make use of these 3 pages. And on this, there will be some very specific suggestions, but please, Mr. or Mrs. Anil, you can come back again during the next session that I will now be presenting to ask for clarifications. Having all the competencies in one panel is pretty hard to come by. Again, you are right. But just imagine now that at some point, coordinators and consortia will have to deal with some trade-offs. And they may see there that they may have some same good partner from any country, Baltics, Balkans, whatever, and you. And from the excellence perspective, you are both excellent, but you played also the card of the market and exploitation, dissemination, and then you win the entry position. And how to provide the harmony with other partners and work package when you have a separate work package and being the sole responsible. As I mentioned, it's difficult. It's in this respect that actually this work package has to be independent so that it can be controlled and checked easier from the Commission side. On the other hand, you have to show there that you will interact with all other existing work packages, so there will be inflows, outflows, which means that at the end, this work package will be like a mini project and not like a work package. But let's say that this is a compromise, and we have to deal with this as a compromise. So I will now continue with, and please come back, Mr. Ranil, also later during my presentation. And here we are. And it's the second issue. So it's the how to write a proposal. And practical aspects. So this session is only about practical aspects, so no theory at all. And no vague or ambiguous statements at all. Vague or ambiguous statements is how can you prove that something adds value? Or what is the notion of value? What is the notion of adding value to something? So these are very practical things. So no theory, no philosophy. I suppose you are all interested to use the opportunity and submit a proposal for this call. I have emphatically said that it is a great instrument. And what does this practically mean? Not about to look for a joint consortia. This will be covered by this session, session 3 on the why. And the size of the proposal, it's only 8 pages. So it's not like the 45 pages that currently is the size of a Horizon Europe proposal, and not the 70 pages that it was in the past for Horizon 2020. Of course, there are some additional elements there that the page limit will be applied automatically. So don't at all think of cheating, because the use of different fonts that sometimes we try to put too much information and we use smaller fonts. So something like not 11, but 10.5 or 10. Or we try to reduce the spacing between the lines or between the paragraphs. Please don't care or don't even think about this type of cheating. Okay, it's not any type of serious cheating, because it's not uncommon that you will receive, instead of your proposal being evaluated, it will be rejected as ineligible, simply because it exceeds the number of pages. And I have had this experience in the past. I was part of a consortium. They decided consciously and deliberately to cheat and not follow exactly the rules. I have told them that this is not a good idea, but I was not there able to impose my decision or my opinion to them and to the coordinator. And then we received a letter mentioning to us that we had to resize the proposal following these fonts, and then the proposal exceeded the number of pages, and then automatically the rest of the pages was not included, which means that whatever you will write, it has to follow these 8 pages and 11 points font and exactly stay there, even with the margin. So don't dare at all to think that you would need to fit more content and therefore you would need to violate these rules. I think that it was clear enough, and no one will do this. So the cover page, it asks also for 2 yes/no questions to be answered, and you will have also to demonstrate there that this is in accordance and in agreement with existing consortium. And you have also to present there which is the current existing consortium. Now, the case of having some new ethical concerns raised, it's common in case there may be something about use of health data or about data protection, where some legislation that may apply in European Union countries may not apply in Turkey, which means that there are still some small things to care after so that you might not face rejection simply because you have unwittingly ignored some of the regulation that is currently applicable. And good to pay attention to the details. You know what they say, that devil is usually lies in the details. The structure of the proposal is same as in the Horizon Europe proposal. So it's only that limited reduced information and content is. I think that my sharing screen has stopped. So now
yes, we lost your screen.
Yeah, I know, because at some point I get information that the recording has stopped and the recording has started again, and I now know to understand this as a problem with the screen sharing. So the structure of the proposal, as I said, is same as in the Horizon Europe proposals. It's only limited the size, and the organization is same in 3 chapters: excellence, impact, and quality, and efficiency of implementation. So now let's go to each of these chapters. Excellence. It's only 2 pages. It is half a page for objectives and ambitions and 1.5 pages for methodology. But let's look now exactly what these half a page and 1.5 pages are about. Objectives and ambition. By the way, it's obvious that once you have convinced the coordinator and the consortium to agree that you will submit the hop-on facility proposal, they will share with you. I understand again that for some reason sharing screen stopped. So I will now go back. So they will disclose with you the content of the project technical description, of the description of action, which means that you will have access to the objectives and ambition of the successful Horizon Europe project that is currently running and where you will become a new partner. Which means that having access to this, you will be able to read it, study it, and then see how to develop your objectives and ambition part. Okay, and here is a suggested workflow. You have access to the parent proposal, and specifically the section 1.1 of this proposal, and then you will critically read this, and then you will connect your mini project objectives and ambition to the already running one. Okay, and it's good if you will try to quantify as much as possible of your objectives and ambition. I'm sure that you will see there that in the successful proposal that you will become a new accession partner, they have already tried to quantify as much as possible their objectives and their ambition, which means that they may have been promising 5 pilot demonstrations in 4 regions of each participating countries, which means that in this respect, you will then also add there that there will be, again, 2 pilot demonstrations in 3 regional authorities of Turkey, or that you will, in a similar way to the one that the people in the existing running project, they have quantified their objectives and ambitions and contribution, that you will do the same. And practically, it might mean, in the ideal case, that you will simply add indicators of your contributions to what already constitutes objectives and ambitions of the main project, of the parent project that you will become part of. Okay, which means that whatever this project promises as objectives and ambitions, you will state there that you will contribute to some of them, few of them. So it will be rather rare the case that you will contribute to all of them. in case there are any questions about this, you can also ask them later, but you can ask me also now. And remain specific and avoid generalities, not as much, but avoid generalities at all. So imagine that there is only half a page that you have here. It has to be as much quantifiable, so what in the Commission jargon they mention that it should be related with measurable yardsticks as possible. So not any blah, blah, blah, strategic, political, open-ended statements. No, it's only half page. It has to be pure content. So no, nothing there that will be not convincing at all. Now, the methodology part. The methodology part is only 1.5 pages. And as you may know, methodology is one of the key parts of success in a Horizon Europe program. This was not the case in Horizon 2020. In many cases, people in methodology section in Horizon 2020, they were presenting general stories, not necessarily related with the nature of the specific project. And at some point, what people were doing was they were copying, pasting, or they were rephrasing things that already were mentioned in the work packages. So they regarded the methodology something like a preamble to the work packages. This is not the case in Horizon Europe. So in Horizon Europe, you have to convince that you have a solid, sound methodology where you ground your project on, and then work packages and tasks are a technicality that reflects the complexity of your methodology. So here there are 3 elements that you are asked. I will comment to each of them. First of all is to describe if and how the existing overall project methodology, including concepts, models, and assumptions, will change due to the addition of the new widening partner and the added value of these modifications. So actually, this means practical, like a workflow from your side, is that you should study in depth, not only read on the surface, the methodology of the running project. You should study this in depth to understand exactly what this project's methodology is about. And then you start thinking about how can you convince that your inclusion in the project affects or influences this methodology. So it's not about selling here. It's not about providing very superficial arguments how good it will be. So don't, what I mentioned before about the huge potential of broadening a project's markets for Turkey should be avoided here. Here it's about excellence. So here you have to be very up to the point how your inclusion affects or influences the methodology. And in case it's no, you should show there that this is not a problem because with your mini project, with your extra work package, you have your own methodology that will provide answers to the potential problems. And if yes, you can again mention there how you will inherit or take up components of the existing project methodology to structure the methodology of your mini project, which is your work package. So this is not a trivial question, and actually it will neither be a no and it will nor be a yes. It will be something in between. You have to position yourself. And again, having in mind that this methodology section to address all these 3 questions has to take place in 1.5 pages, you have to be extremely cautious about how you use these 1.5 pages. And don't think there that each of these 3 components will need half a page. It might be that for this part, you may need only a few lines, while for the previous or for the next, you may need much more. And there is no need to cheat to win impressions. This is actually what I mentioned before. Don't start presenting here arguments related with how big the market and the potential and the opportunities will be having you as a partner. No, this is good to have in impact session, but not here. And this is the last element, describe and explain if an additional methodology will be used and or a new scientific discipline will be entering the project with your accession. And here it is the key part to describe the methodology that will be devised by you only, and possibly the coordinator, apart from supporting you with project management tasks. They will also be part of this methodology, which means that you can imagine that actually this methodology will be deployed by you, and a small part will be also taken care after by the coordinator. Otherwise, it's not like the methodology of the project where all people are involved in its deployment. And the inclusion of a new scientific discipline should be cautiously handled, which means that for me, I think that you may mention comfortably that no new scientific discipline will be entering the project, unless there is a special case and an exception. But in the majority of cases that I could imagine, it will not be that we will now include a new scientific discipline that will enrich the project. But on this, again, I would say the best way to test your proposal is to ask other people to comment. This is the reason I mentioned my email before, and I said also that you can use the help desk of the project of Turkey Horizon 2020, so that you can send to us and test with us your ideas or your narratives or the text there. And for me, as I said, it's too much to say that by a new partner, not from Turkey, but from any country, a new scientific discipline enters an existing consortium in some area. So there, I would say, please, they may have included it from the Commission side, but it's not necessary that it will apply possibly to 2 or 3% of the considered proposals. And describe, if applicable, any new elements or modifications to the existing practices within the project relating to open science, data management, and management of other research outputs as results of the addition of the widening part. This is important, and it is your opportunity to convince that you have studied the running project's methodology and you have devised the practice that you will implement to get engaged in the project. And this is actually, I would rather say it's a safe bet, because you will only need to read there what the existing consortium mentions about open science, about data management, and about other research management aspects. And then you may enrich each of them selectively if it's easy, but you don't need to overdo it. Okay, you can do it for 1, 2 things that you can demonstrate there that you can add value or you bring some excellence there. Otherwise, you can comfortably mention that you will comply fully with the commitments of the consortium. But again, it's not a good idea to only mention this. So try to come up with 1, 2 things that you will bring genuinely as new elements there from your side. And also important, all aspects related to open science that were present in the original proposal have to be reassessed and complemented. Okay, so impact, same important as excellence, and here it's only 2 pages, again same as excellence. Okay, and here it's about projects pathways towards impact, which is about 1 page, and measures to maximize impact, which is again 1 page. Of course, you can vary, you can have half a page for the pathways towards impact and 1.5 page for dissemination, but I would say it's good if you stay in these recommended limits. And about project pathways towards impact, again, the same structure that we saw before at system, organization, and beneficiary level, that we have the same thing here at consortium and system and the level of the new partner, which means that you may need to repeat arguments that the consortium has made about the pathways towards impact, and focus there to some of them that your contributions will be considered as more important. And same like there is specific commitment and quantification in the original proposal, you have to do it the same way here. And the same again here. The consortium, they have already been promising specific dissemination, exploitation, communication activities. So they may have promised 3 participation in international conferences, 4 participations in international exhibitions and events, or the production of 20 newsletter and press releases. So, and these in 5 languages. So from your side, you may mention there that there will be more dissemination events that you will organize or participate into and name them, or journal publications that your institution will contribute to. Same about exploitation, participation in events, or for instance, if in the consortium, in the current proposal, they have been promising that the project will contribute to the creation of 5 new startups. It might be difficult sometimes even to have 1 successful startup incorporation in the end, but just imagine that for some reason there is a specific project and they promise there 5 distinct startups. You may then consider that it might make sense to have 1 additional startup being promised. But again, there is no need to promise something that it will be difficult to be, that you will commit for it, which means that you can avoid committing for things that will not be pleasant to stay with them later, or it will be difficult. Same also for communication. You might also add there an element of customizing content into the Turkish language, because in many cases there are consortia and it's so easy and comfortable to create content in English that they fail to address needs in their countries of origin by even taking the opportunity to translate the content into Greek, German, Portuguese, Dutch, Italian. Now, this could be even a winning aspect, so that you might commit there that content that will be related to uptake and adoption potential of the project results will be customized for the Turkish audience. So impact is same important as excellence, but you see there that you may not need to innovate. You can walk on the footsteps of the existing consortium, and then you can selectively make use of which aspects you will align yourself with, so that you can promise additional outcomes. Of course, it may be the case that you may come up with something that the consortium has left out. So they may have not cared to develop some manual to increase the uptake potential by a wider audience. And then you mention there that with your inclusion in the project, you will develop such a manual, and then you will translate it, you will commit to produce it in English, and you will translate it in Turkish. And it will be an excellent contribution. So now, quality and efficiency of the implementation, which is what Anil, you mentioned before that it is chaotic, and now we will be very close about to see the chaos. So here it needs to be only 4 pages. And it also mentions that section 3.1 about the work plan and resources, it has to be 3 pages, including all tables. And section 3.2 about the capacity of the new widening partner, it is about 1 page. And as you may suspect, the problems and the chaos are on how to fit this information about section 3.1 into 3 pages. And so this is actually what it asks for in these 3 pages, that we provide a brief presentation of modifications of the overall structure, and then the timing of the different work packages if there are any changes, and the graphical presentation of the components, so the PER charts, and then a list of the modified or the new work packages, and the new work packages, how they will create or affect change to the existing ones, and a list of the new or the modified deliverables, and a list of the new modified milestones, and the new types of risks or mitigation strategies, and then tables showing the change in the efforts. And one might say that, for God's sake, is it possible to fit everything there? I'm tempted to mention a Nasreddin Hoxha story that I learned from my grandmother about someone who had a small house and they didn't feel very comfortable there with his wife and his mother-in-law. And then Nasreddin Hoxha started advising the guy to go bring the dog, the cat, the donkey, the horse, and then when they were getting rid of them, how comfortable it was. But here it might be only that we have to bring into this 3-page home all these elements and we cannot get rid of them. But let's be a little creative here and see what are our opportunities to use what is demanded from us and how we can deal with this. And let's consider that we will make more than one passes. So let's see a first pass about how to cope with this information. And these are suggestions, which means that Odysseus might differentiate himself, but not only Odysseus, every person might have their own understanding and opinion. But here it is something that might be helpful for you to use as a good practice, and then you can differentiate yourself and adapt it to your specific case. So what I see as worth is that the new work package, which is actually like a mini project, will be given one page, one full page. And this is actually table 3.1b, where you describe the objectives, the description of work, and the deliverables of the new work package. So it's all worth to waste one page for the new work package, which means that we will have 2 other pages for the rest. Now, let's see how we will use these 2 pages. The immediate step to do is to add the new work package to the list of ongoing work packages, and then to add the deliverables of the new work package to the list of deliverables. And if there are any new milestones, so it doesn't need that you will provide new milestones. And from my side, I would say you can stay with the milestones as they already are. Or at least you can put a milestone there about successful completion of all interfaces and work routines between the consortium and the new accession partner 3 months after your accession. But again, you could stay comfortable with the milestones that already are there. And then you may ask the question, are there new risks or new risk types that relate with your work package? Again, my suggestion, but as I said, it's personal, so it's nothing there that can be adopted without any second thoughts from your side, is that I would suggest it's not necessary that you present new risks and new risk types that you will deal with because of your inclusion there. Okay, so it's not only time saving, it will keep the whole operation at less chaotic levels. Okay, so for the moment, we have a new work package, which we might devote even one full page for it. And then we have to add the new work package to the existing list of work packages. So if the project has 12 work packages or 9 work packages, now the work packages are 13 or 10. And then we add the deliverables of the new work package to the list of deliverables. And changes in the performance will take place, and they will be related with your resources and the resources of the coordinator. which means that in the summary of the efforts, there is a table with all partners and all work packages. There will be an extra line, which will be the new work package, and an extra column with a new partner, and then resources will appear for you as a new partner only to your work package, and the 10% of resources to the coordinator. So it will be a very sparse new entry in the table of existing resources, because there will be only 2 places where a figure will appear. Now, about new subcontracting costs, new purchase cost justification, newly appearing other cost categories, and in-kind contribution from third parties, where we might again need to include a new table. I would suggest that this might not necessarily be the case. Of course, this does not mean at all that you should avoid subcontracting. So for instance, imagine that we have a project where all partners, the project is about some innovation in the domain of Industry 4.0, and there will be subcontracting in each of the pilot countries for a market study. In case you will have a same pilot study and marketing study in Turkey, again, you may need to have subcontracting, where you will also need there to mention everything in table 3.1g for the subcontracting costs that are incurred as a result of the study that you will carry out in Turkey. But otherwise, usually it's very rare case. So it's not the usual case that people will come up with these tables. So how confident are we that we will all fit into 3 pages? Ideally, as I mentioned before, it will be 1 page to be devoted to the new work package, and the rest of the required information will be used for the remaining items. And here are some practical tips. Instead of the entire tables, 3.1 B, C, D, you may add only the part that is relevant, which means that instead of repeating the entire list of deliverables, which in many cases takes 2 pages, you will only add there the 1, 2 lines or 3 lines of the added deliverables, and referring to the project existing list of deliverables. Same also, in case you will like to add a new milestone, you will only add the extra line of the milestone and the extra line of the risk. This saves space. And otherwise, it might be pretty difficult, or rather like a study in impossibility. So now, having carried out this first pass, we may have 5 pages, and we need to reduce it. And it's not difficult. In many cases, if someone needs to save space, one may have a very lengthy title for a deliverable, and you may reduce it, which is also good, and it's much more comfortable for the reviewers. The idea is to make brief presentation of the modifications of the overall structure of the work plan due to the addition of the widening partner, and modifications, if any, should be related to the timing of the different work packages and their components. This is what actually is expected. And modifications, if any, to the graphical presentation, which are the PER charts. So I might say that, okay, this might at least be, in the best case, 1 full page. The brief presentation of the modifications in the work plan, so something like 1 to 2 paragraphs. And then you may need again to redraw the Gantt chart and the PER charts with the new added partner. So my suggestion is that add only a miniature picture of the original's structure, Gantt chart, and PER chart, and show there with bolder lines and colors the new additional components, which means something like that you already have the drawing of the Gantt chart, and then you add there the extra work package, or you already have the timing and the interdependencies of the pair chart, and then you only put in bolder lines and size the new components that result due to the accession of you as a new partner. And this means that you might be able to use half a page for this information that is demanded from the template. And this means that whatever we discussed previously may be 2.5 pages. So 1 page for the new work package and 1.5 pages for the new added elements regarding deliverables, resources, milestones, and your new work package appearing as member of the existing list of work packages. So as you see, it's something there that it's normal to share information with other consortia, as I mentioned, and better ask the help desk of the project for any questions or in case of doubt. So you have nothing to lose. And also cross-check with other applicants. Good and best practice can be shared and should be shared. So even in case you will, all of you that are attending the today's event, you will be competing against each other, but you will not be competing against each other for a specific topic. You will be competing from the bucket of the 20. I know my lesson. I think that sharing screen has ended, but now I revived it. So the idea is that, as I said, though you will be competing amongst you, you will be involved in different consortia that may deal with different thematic aspects, which means that for me, it's better if you will, amongst you, self-organize yourself so that you could also, with our help and our support from the help desk of the project, you could cross-check approaches, practices, and practical ways to cope with all these chaotic exercise, than stay alone and only rely on your internal resources. So I think that even if you have the brightest minds in your team, it's better if you communicate with other people and exchange some information. This is actually bringing usually good value. And also, the last thing is that dare to send questions to the Horizon Europe Help Desk. I have also myself filed a question some days before. I didn't receive an answer. I may expect that they will send me an answer. Sometimes their answers are not very helpful. So they are, ambiguous, or they are at some point what one might name creative ambiguity. But at least it's your good rights to ask these questions centrally to the people of the Horizon Europe Help Desk. And I really wish you good luck. As I mentioned, it is a great instrument and it is all worth that you go make use of it. And same as before, you can send me any questions you have at any time. So not now after the event, you can think about it, or you may come up with questions.
Diamantis, sorry for interrupting.
Yeah.
It looks that you already started to share screen, but we only see a black screen. Could you reshare if you would like to share?
I will, yes, of course, though I was actually at the end. It was only my last slide, but it will be all worth it. I will share my screen. And this was the last screen that I had these final tips, and that I mentioned that you may come back to the help desk of the project. You may cross-check with other applicants, and you can also share, dare to send questions centrally to the people in Brussels from the Horizon Europe Help Desk. And apart from wishing to all of you good luck, please feel very comfortable to come back also to me with any questions, not necessarily now. I know that sometimes we come up with questions when we are working, and this can be very close to the submission deadline. So don't feel uncomfortable at all, even 2 days before the submission, to ask me any questions, and I will be very happy to answer them. So this is from my side. Kemal, are there any questions?
Yes, Diamantis, we have 5 questions, 4 of them from Mr. Özçar and 1 from Mr. Karan. Would you like to click Q&A on the bottom menu to see the questions?
I don't see questions in the Q&A. It seems like there are no open questions, 0 answered, 0 dismissed, 0 open.
Yeah, in open section we have 5. If you wish, I can read it for you, but
yeah, please read them. Please read them. Please
okay,
read them.
I'm also copying same question to the chat part. I don't know, you will be able to see chat part as well, but
yes,
because
but
it's very long.
Yeah, I see it now. Yeah, I can read it. We had a few attempts to join few consortiums in the very near past. Problem is that we just know about the project from its abstract or the website. You are very correct. We know the partners comprise the consortium and the consortium leading institute. We prepared an expression of interest based on what we imagine in the project would all be about based on the abstract. Since we send a few of the expression of interest through the EU portal, we haven't gotten anything good or bad news, whether or not it has been evaluated among the partners. Nothing. The process for me is not as transparent as it should be. You are right. What are we missing? What other things should we have done? Thank you. First of all, this is something that very comfortably could be answered by Odysseus. I'm sure he will deal with this, but Odysseus, give me the opportunity to at least mention a few things. There is this expression of interest for each call. And at some point, it was 2017, I think, we have worked together. I will not name specific names. And it was not a case of a Turkish company or university. It was a German company. And I worked with them because they had experience in the past. They were coordinators of a project, of a Horizon 2020 project. And I was involved also in another relevant Horizon 2020 project. It was about innovations in health. And for some reason, we saw there that building synergies with them would be good. And we submitted jointly a proposal which failed and which had this company as a coordinator. And I was surprised after some time when I saw that this company was expressing interest of participation in almost every call, having the same text there. We are a German SME with competence in this and that and this and that. This and that nowadays means AI, machine learning, big data, analytics. And I felt very bad because I had these people, I had selected them to be coordinators in a project, while I have had as a blind spot that they may, by the way, they didn't contribute at all, but I felt there that, you know, it's like someone who is established, they don't necessarily care to provide too much content and information. But the thing is that the problem that I see with your strategy, I don't know the names who asked, so therefore I only see the text there that Kemal shared with me. So the problem is that even if it is well meant, it provides very little ground for the consortium or the coordinator to bring you on board, which means that it might seem like a very generic, like spamming. The information that you can get from projects, you can get it from their websites. And they're actually the projects, because they are under pressure, they copy-paste parts, considerable parts of the proposal, which means that they copy-paste parts of the work program, the work plan, the tasks, the work packages, the deliverables. The more they try to enrich the website with content, the more they copy and paste from the proposal, which means that if you study there a little more, which is not something that may need few hours, it might, in order to be done in a convincing way, it might even need few days. You can then knock their door and have more convincing arguments. On the other hand, you are very correct, and I would be fully with you that still it might be like applying for a job, and instead of spamming someone with your CV without and the cover letter that may not be customized for the specific job, it might be that you have spent some hours on the website of the company that you apply for, and then you simply try to mention there how relevant you are for the business, the projects, the market, the products they are dealing with. I think that in many websites, people provide information also about the persons that are involved, the organizations, which means that instead of sending something like an email that will end up to the Turkish Horizon 2020 help desk, you might spend some time and see there that there is Kemal, Celine, Selale, Adamandius, Odysseus. So there are specific people. And then you might go there and try to get in contact with Odysseus for something that he has already been doing in the project, which means that it's all these extra steps and extra time that you will spend that can increase the value that you can bring into this project. And the thing there is that, okay, it's much easier to send an expression of interest, but then the result will be zero. So if you try to focus in some areas where you may have also relevant background and experience and work, a record of achievements, then you will be able to make a much more narrower and more focused strategy of getting involved. But it's nothing there. So as I said it's a great opportunity. It's a shortcut. But this does mean there that it's like a low-hanging fruit. Still, it's a low-hanging fruit with respect or in comparison to the other Horizon Europe projects. But low-hanging does mean there that if you don't care to grasp the fruit, it will come to your hands. So this from me. Let's go to the other questions, Kemal. Yeah, please, Odysseus.
I also have something to add here. I mean, the communication between the successful consortium and the potential applicant is beyond the scope of the commission. So it is your job to identify a consortium that is willing to take you. And that doesn't mean, of course, that they will be willing to work with you, or they will be always swift in the response, or they will be real at what they're telling you. So you need to find somebody where you need to find the consortium where you have some leverage, preferably with the coordinator. So let's say a coordinator which you have worked with them in the past, because in most cases the coordinator will decide for most of the partners in the consortium, and if the coordinator wants to push something, they will manage to push it. If not the coordinator, at least the core consortium, so the partners that were there from the very beginning, wrote the proposal, and have the biggest role in the implementation process. So that means that you need to find the major partners, not the junior partners. If you know, and if you can find the major partners and kind of convince them that you are a good case for their consortium, these partners will convince the minor partners. If you are just approaching a partner, or if you are just knocking doors, you may succeed, but chances are that you will find it much more difficult than going to one specific consortium that you know them and they know you. So this is it. You need to find the consortium where they know you and you don't have to convince them that you would be a good partner. So in this case, things will be much more easier. If it is not a consortium that you know, of course things can work again, but then you have a steeper hill to climb, because you will have to convince the coordinator, the consortium, that you're a good case, that they should be working with you, that it's worthwhile going for this hop-on facility. Because remember, there's not a lot in this hop-on facility for them. So they don't have any real incentive to include you, right, Diamandis? I mean, there is no incentive in the consortium to include a third partner. So it is easy if you manage to find, well, it is easier if you manage to find the right consortium. Otherwise, I don't think that it's any easier than winning or setting up a consortium from the beginning.
But it's all worth the same like evolution in life. So there may be some strategies that may seem that they are fast and easy and cheap, but they bring no results. And there are some other strategies which are extremely expensive, but can bring much better results. So for me, ideally might be that once you know exactly what is your area that you would like to get involved, that you will see there which are projects, and then from these projects you try even to find some personal conduct there, but personal conduct doesn't necessarily mean that it will be more successful. And but the problem may be that at some point, and it's very understandable that we have organizations that have certain competence and skills which can be used or can be offered to a wide magnitude of projects. This was exactly the case that I mentioned to you with this German SME, that while I was working with them for something that I thought they have some experience, expertise, excellence, and added value, they were massively trying to get involved in other people's proposals. And perhaps this may have been the reason that that proposal I did with them failed, because instead of trying to improve the narrative of our joint proposal with the relevance and the added value they bring, they were spamming other people with requests for expression of interest. But this is also the best is for me to find also the person that you can address your request and also convince about this. And then that person might speak to some other colleagues or the coordinator. And it's good if you don't leave these things to be done at the last moment. So the earlier, the better, because in many cases, there will be several communication iterations that have to take place for taking a decision, which means that the earlier you start this, the better. Next question, Kemal.
So, Diamantis, I think...
I can respond to them, okay. Kemal, don't worry.
Oh, okay.
So the next question was, there are a bunch of questions. Can a coordinator propose more than one hop-on partner or project to the consortium? I think that they can, but it's not. I mean, they can decide between various partners, but I believe that there is only one proposal that you can submit.
Yeah, because otherwise it will be not transparent, so there will be only one accession partner, and then it may be that the coordinator, it is something like, it would be like rude to the commission size that the coordinator says that, okay, I had been discussing, negotiating with 5 consortia, 5 new partners, and then the decision is on your side to see who of them may be the most suitable. No, it is the coordinator that has to, and the consortium that has to choose one accession partner and submit the proposal.
However, the consortium or the coordinator can choose between more than one partners.
Yes, of course,
I mean,
of course. Yeah.
The proposal will be just one, but maybe the coordinator would like to have an option. Yeah,
and it might be also there that it might be, this is the chance factor, that imagine there that the coordinator may want partner A, the consortium may want partner B, and then you might appear there at the right moment as a compromise so that they might choose you to be involved with them. So it's always good to expect that if you move yourself, then you may find your good luck also. good luck will
So
not necessarily come to find.
one more question from the other side. Can a hop-on partner be accepted in more than one project?
A hop-on. The thing there is that in the past, and this is what I mentioned before with the accession countries, there were notorious cases of entities. Again, I would not like to, because before I mentioned the German company, Germany is big, but there were cases from new at that time EU member countries, and who made notorious use of this, and they were concurrently being involved in many projects, and they build a legacy out of it. Some of them they used this good, some of them didn't use it at all in good ways. But here I would suggest that even though there is no numerous clauses from the side of the Commission, that again it is not good to use these so that you will get massively involved in several competing proposals, because even if the thematic areas will be different, they will all be going after this bucket of 20 million euros. Okay, and then it might be that the coordinators will not be happy to see there that, okay, you may have failed with your proposal with them, but you have succeeded with someone else's proposal. Otherwise, it is not impossible for someone to do this. Yeah.
Yes. If now another question is the gender equality plan necessary for the partner who would be accepted to the consortium? It is if, as in general eligibility rules, if you are a public institution, then yes, the gender equality plan is mandatory. You need to have one in order to submit a proposal. It's the same here as in every other call. There's no difference. If you are a public institution, you need to have one. Please consider working on one, even if you are not a public institution, but you are a big corporation or even a small corporation. Even if it is not mandatory for you, it will add points to you. Maybe it will help you go above the competition and add some points in your evaluation. And the final question is related to the milestones. If the milestones should be independent from the project's own milestones, or if they should be aligned. Now remember that you are adding a work package in an existing project. So you cannot have your own milestones. The milestones will be the project's milestones. They have to be aligned with the projects. You may add a milestone if you believe that something is important, but this milestone will affect the rest of the implementation as well. So in any case, the milestones should be aligned. Now, how many milestones? A milestone is not a deliverable. So it has to be linked with something significant, with a significant progress in the project. So, I mean, I would say one is enough, but maybe you are working in something very important and you feel that the two are necessary. It's up to you really. But remember that a milestone is something that it's crucial to the project. If you do not reach this milestone, that means that the project is in danger. So it's not just one deliverable that even if you delayed for, let's say, a few days or even a few months, it will have any major impact in the implementation of your project. So milestones is significant. They don't have to do with the deliverables, but in any case, they should always be aligned with the project. I think we have answered all the questions that we had in the Q&A. I don't know if we have any other questions, Kemal from Slido or wherever else.
Just check Odysseus. We have no questions on Slido.
No questions on Slido, okay. Yeah. I suggest we take just a 3-4 minute break, grab a cup of coffee, stretch your legs, and we'll be here in 4 minutes, Kemal. So 4 minutes break, and we'll be back with the final presentation and discussion.
Thanks.
Okay, welcome back. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So welcome back. We have just one last presentation, and then we can have a discussion with anything that you would like to discuss further in the call. So let me share my screen. Can you see the correct screen, or are you seeing the curation screen?
We still see you now.
Still me?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Okay. How about now?
Now we see your presentation.
Is it the presenter's slide?
Yeah,
or is
yeah,
it
yeah, it's presenters.
Okay. So, Diamandis gave you an overview of the call and how to write the call and why this instrument is there. So this last presentation is about how to join a consortium and how you can find one and how you can convince them that you have something to offer to this consortium. So we were going to cover how you are going to look for consortia and successful projects, how you're going to build your profile, show your strengths, and approach potential partners and consortia. And of course, how you're going to negotiate your part and your budget. That's not as difficult as it sounds, since you have your own budget, so you're not getting any budget from the consortium. This is a roadmap I have created, and it's a more generic roadmap. It can be applicable even when you want to write a proposal and not to write, but to join a consortium. But this is adapted for the case where you want to use it in this specific facility, so in this hop-on facility. So there are some steps. These steps are not necessarily sequential, so maybe you have already done some of these steps and you want to jump from number 2, for instance, to number 5. This is up to you. But this is a kind of a roadmap and a checklist that can help less experienced organization identify what identify the goals that they would like to pursue and the consortia that they would like to pursue, and build up a strategy to do that. So as we already said, the first thing that you need to do is understand the hop-on call text. So the call of this particular call. Understand this call, understand the text, understand what you need to do, study the template of the proposal. But the next thing is that you also need to identify and understand the pillar 2 or the EIC Pathfinder call that you're going to pursue. So it's not enough just to study the call of the hop-on. You need to study the particular call that you will target. Of course, you need to find the consortium, but first you need to know where you're looking for. So if you don't know what consortia are out there, and don't forget that Horizon Europe is relatively new. So in Cordis, you will not find a lot of proposals for Horizon Europe yet. there are relatively few consortia out there that are already published. Of course, as we reach the deadline of the hop on call, we will see more and more consortia and proposals to be added in Cordis, because the last deadline was, we had the one deadline in October, and there were a few deadlines in April. So by next cutoff date, you will have a lot of more projects published in Cordis. Remember that a project is published in Cordis after it has signed the grant agreement. So although at this point there are consortia that they know that they have already won, they are still in the preparation phase, so nothing is published. So unless you know some consortia that they are under negotiation, maybe you do from your network, maybe you do from other partners, and you would like to approach them in advance, tell them that, you know, once you sign your grant agreement, why not start the process of accepting us in your consortium as well? Then you will have to wait for this consortia to sign their grant agreement and publish their proposals, their projects in Cordis, and then identifying them and going after them. And once, of course, you start discussing with the consortium, then you will see, you will be able to have access to their proposal and start building your proposal on top of theirs and align the activities and deliverables and the milestones. So you need to understand the proposal, you need to understand the call, and then you need to understand the proposal and how you are going to build your expected outcomes and impacts on that particular call and that particular proposal. Don't forget that we have a strategic plan. Horizon Europe has a number of key strategic orientations. These key strategic orientations are in line with EU priorities and generate the expected impacts. And this can be found in the work program. So you need to study that in order to get the bigger picture and in order to be able to build your own strategy. So at the moment, you have a rough idea of what you can do, but you don't know what proposals are out there. So before you start looking, you need to understand the calls and you need to build a strategy of the things that you could offer under these calls. So these are the four strategic objectives, key strategic orientations of Horizon Europe. This is a slide that we are showing quite often in our presentations, and you will find out that these key strategic orientations are actually not cross-cutting, but they actually involve a lot of calls. And the way to respond to these key strategic orientations is, of course, read the work program of that particular thematic, of the particular cluster that you are interested in. Find in this work program the calls that you are targeting, and then go to the funding and tender portal and look for successful consortia. Look for what projects, what calls are closed, and what calls will produce consortia, will produce proposals. And you do that by looking at the calls that are already closed and are in the process of selecting the successful consortia. So once you have understood the problem and you know the big picture, you know how you can respond to that, then you need to build your research and innovation profile. not a generic research and innovation profile, not something that you are doing good, as Diamandis said, gave you the example of that German company. We do artificial intelligence, but we do machine learning, and we do this and we do that. We do crypto, we do big data, we do everything. So you build your research profile based on the call that you are targeting. And you pick up that call that you are targeting based on the things that you would like to do and the capacities that you would like to evolve. So it's not the other way around. You have some competencies, you have some strengths, you're looking for the opportunities, and you are trying to position your organization to respond to that opportunities. So what do you do well? What separates you from competition? Remember that it's still a competition. What are your strong assets in relation with this particular call, not in general? And what can you offer in that particular call that you are interested that others cannot? This is your research and innovation profile. And in the past, in Horizon Europe, we used to do that in 2 pages. Although this profile in Horizon 2020 was part of the proposal. So it was part of the part B. Now, we don't have as many details in our proposals, but you are going to need such a profile, such a more elaborate profile, in order to attract the attention of the consortia, of the coordinators and the consortia. So this is not a profile that will be submitted to the Commission. This is not a profile that is going to be part of the proposal, but still, it should be a profile that will attract the attention of the coordinator and will manage to convince major and minor partners that you have something to offer in that particular call. Remember, not a generic one. We don't take what we have in our drawer and just change the date. You need to adapt it to the particular call you're pursuing. And this is an example of how you should start your elevator pitch. If you are sending an email to somebody and you would like to present yourself so that you can convince them that you have a strong team and you are working in something that it's worth discussing. This is an example of a golden paragraph that will it's written in order to attract the attention of a fellow researcher. Part of your research profile should be your solution stack. And by solution or tech stack, we mean the set of technology solutions, the tools, the platform, the infrastructures that you use to offer your services. So I'll give you an example. If we were talking about ICT companies, then we would mention here the technologies that we use. We use Amazon Cloud and Microsoft Azure and Linux infrastructure or whatever. If you are working in environmental sciences or in biosciences, then maybe you have some equipment, maybe you have some sensors, maybe you have a lab that is very useful to the consortium. So this is what you need to promote here. The fact that you have some infrastructure that may be very useful to others. So as a checkpoint, we assume that you already have a PIC number, you have a research and innovation profile. If you need a technology stack, you are creating one, and you are familiar with all these tools. I am going to refer to some of these tools later on. If we have time, I will close the presentation with just a demo on what and how you are going to look for such proposals. The third step, you need to assemble your team. Again, this is something that you should already have. You have the team that you are working with. You should make sure that the administration of the organization has agreed to the things that we are working. So the research agenda of your team is aligned with the research agenda of your organization. I cannot work in something that does not interest my organization. I cannot work in cryptocurrencies, for example, if my organization says that it's not in our agenda. It may be a beautiful and very interesting personal project, but it's not a project that can find its way in the research and innovation agenda of my organization. Make sure that you have approval from your boss, make sure that you have approval from your rector or whoever else you need to have an approval. And you need that because otherwise you may do everything in vain. You may start looking for a consortium, looking for a call, looking for a proposal, and then you may go to, the consortium may agree with your terms and agree with inviting you in it, and then you go to your boss and say, we've changed our priorities. I don't think that we would like to be part of this consortium. I don't think that it will be beneficial for us. And then you are exposed. The consortium will never again invite you in anything, in any proposal. Your team should be a team that has a comprehensive technical understanding. You still need to write the proposal, don't forget. You still need to prove that you are a good partner. So you still need to have a strong team with you. Remember that in the profile of the organization, we explained, we promoted a few key profiles. So the profiles of 2 or 3 researchers or the people that we will directly work in the proposal. So this is something that you need to have, you need to promote. It is one of your assets, should be one of your assets. And you should make sure that this team has a technical understanding, has a good level of understanding and writing in English, and they have the ability to think beyond problems and find details and spot problems and give solutions. And they should have, of course, imagination and the ability to see in opportunities. So now it's time to identify the right call for you. You did a scanning of the work program. You browse the funding and tender portal. You identified a few opportunities, let's say in cluster 2, maybe in cluster 4, cluster 6, but still you haven't selected the actual call. You haven't selected where you're going to target your effort. So you need to scan the work programs in more detail, find the call text, the specific call text from pillar 2, and study that call text. And then, of course, study the proposal template and see how you can respond to that. Identify opportunities. You need to be able to identify the opportunities that make more sense to you. Eligibility, of course, you are eligible. This is a more generic slide. We assume that you will be eligible, but then you need to consider if the call is for you. Not if you are formally eligible, of course you are, but if you are eligible in the sense that this is a good proposal for you, a good proposal for your organization, and if it is worth it, and if it is relevant to you, if you have a solution already that you can offer, and if you can address the challenges of the call. And finally, if you have the capacity to write, of course, okay, this is not a full proposal, it's just a few pages. It's nothing like the 30 or the 45 or the 70 pages that will be required by you if you were a coordinator, but still it is a proposal. You need to write on top of an already existing project. which means that you need to study very carefully the proposal, the successful proposal that is currently being implemented. And you need to respond to that case, which makes it even more difficult. It's not that, you shouldn't think that, okay, I only have to write 8 pages. It's nothing. Writing 8 targeted pages is much more difficult than writing 30 pages in a generic context. So you need to be very careful with the preparation of your proposal. So identify opportunities. What I do, and it works for me, and I do not do it only in Hop-On. I try to find the core topics that are relevant for me, for my organization, and then I try to see if I have some capability, if I have an asset, if I have something that will convince others to include me then in their consortium. It's not about being a coordinator, it's about being a partner. So I single out the proposals regardless of clusters that are relevant for my organization, and I try to match them with capacities I already have and experience and the references that I already have, which is very important. So core topic against specific capabilities. Then it's time to introduce your organization to the partners and consortia. And of course, we are looking for successful consortia under Pillar 2 or EIC Pathfinder that have no partners from widening countries. So first of all, take a look at the widening countries. There is a very specific definition. There is a list of widening countries. A simple Google search will reveal them. And if you go to the widening website of the EC, you will find the widening codes, and then you will find the eligible widening countries. So make sure that you know the widening countries, and then when you look for potential consortia that could accept you, make sure that they do not have somebody from the widening countries. These consortia, of course, they need to be extrovert, they need to be willing to collaborate. So this is something that you do not know, but maybe you can use your network. Maybe you can start by sending messages to potential partners from other institutions from abroad. This will help you maybe create a network not just for Hop-On, but for other calls as well. Where you are going to look? I would suggest to start from the funding and tender portal, because this is where you will go to identify the status of that particular call. So you're not looking a needle in a haystack. You are looking for specific calls that fall within your interests. You have identified these calls from the work program or from the funding and tender portal. It's one and the same, doesn't matter. And then once you know these particular calls, you go to these particular calls and see what is the status of the calls. You see that the deadline for submitting proposals was 6 months ago. Chances are that grant agreements are about to be signed any day now. Remember also that there is always an update section in every call. There is an update section. In that update section, you can read the latest updates on that particular call. So the minute the call is closed, the Commission announces how many proposals were submitted. So you already know the success rate because you know the budget that is allocated in that particular call. So you know how many consortia submitted a call, and you know the budget of the call, so you can identify the success rate of that particular call. If the call has already led to grant agreements, so if the deadline was from last year or from at least 1 year back, at least 8-9 months back, then chances are that we will have something in Cordis. So you can go in Cordis and look for the most recent calls, and you will be able to find the most recent calls and see if these, well, the most recent proposals rather, and projects. So we are talking about successful projects in Cordis. You will be able to find the most recent projects that have already been signed, and you will be able from there to find the coordinator and the other partners and start trying to communicate with them. LinkedIn groups is a more generic, of course, that works well if you have a network or if you know the specific contact from a partner. Then you can go into LinkedIn, message that person. This is always works better than sending a message through the communication facility of the funding and tender portal. So sending a message to the LEAR. If you have a big organization like a university, then chances are that the LEAR will not get back to you. So try to find who is actually responsible for that particular project, and then address your email to that particular person. Now, once you find them, you can present your organization, you can introduce your organization, and to do that, of course, you need to have a website, you need to have a profile, we talked about that, a research and innovation profile, a technology stack maybe, and an updated team profile. Don't forget that the moment that you send an email to an organization requesting collaboration, requesting to include you in a consortium, and the moment the coordinator will send an email to the rest of the partners saying, you know, we have partner X willing to join or wishing rather to join our consortium, then the first thing everybody will do is going to your website and trying to identify from your website if you have the experience, if you have the references, if you have the will to join the proposal. Once you establish the contact with that organization, then you need to have a concept. Why do you want to extend this project? They already have it. What are you going to add to that? What will be your added value? And again, in order to convince the consortium, you need to take the story, the narrative from the beginning. So what was the challenge and scope of the call, and how are you're going to address it? Now, if you have already access to the successful proposal text, then fine, you put it together with the call text and you work with both documents and try to respond both to the challenges of the calls and to the scope of the proposal. Then you look at the strategic objectives of the call. What is the project going to do, and how you are going to create specific objectives that will make sense to the partners that already have their own specific objectives submitted with the proposal, and how you are going to align the resources and link your work with the work-based down structure. And finally, what are you going to deliver? What are you going to deliver that will add some value to the consortium? Maybe you are bringing a capability that they don't have, or they are quite weak at that. Maybe you are building an exploitation capacity that they do not have, because they have a big market, we have direct access to other partners, you have a strong base of users, and you can bring that to the new consortium. I remember projects, successful projects that I was part of, and we could use some extra partners. We wouldn't mind including them. Of course, if you need to include an extra partner and giving them your budget, you will never do that because there is no incentive. Why should I share my budget? But if there was an extra budget for them, I would definitely like to include one partner who would take care, let's say, the exploitation aspect where we weren't that capable at that point. And I'm not talking about IDI, I'm talking about other projects where we had only academics, or we had only research partners in our consortium and just one small SME. The proposal was successful, the project was very successful, but at the end of the day, we didn't have a strong partner who could take over the exploitation results. And if you manage to add such a partner, even towards the end of the project, or at least before the middle of the project, then you will manage to build something that may be quite valuable. Now, you need, of course, we already discussed it, you need a concept note, you need to read the call before you read the proposal. So make sure that you understand the specific call you are going after in Pillar 2, not the hop-on call, and you know what you would like to do. Now, you don't have to prepare the full concept of the proposal. Remember that you are looking for a consortium that has already a successful project, but you do need to identify this project, this successful proposal, and be able to dissect it, be able to fully understand it, why they are doing that, what is the solution that they are suggesting, how they are going to do that, and on top of that, to lay your own concept that will add the value that they are missing. And this will be the incentive for them to include you in their proposal, in their project. So if you convince them that their life will be easier, because from what you can see from the proposal, they are lacking, let's say, a strong dissemination partner. And they do the dissemination, but you could bring significant improvement in that process. Or they are lacking a pilot, or they are lacking a test bed, they are lacking a clinical trial. And these are things that would definitely often improve and increase the added value of that particular project. And this is something that they are willing to discuss. Now, how you are going to pitch your concept, we saw previously how you are going to pitch yourselves, your researchers. This is how you are going to pitch your proposal. And you can see that a few bullets, why you are contacting them, what is your idea, and how that idea could be integrated into that project. And then you are referring to your assets. You know, we have a strong end user case. We have an organization that we already work with, and we have access to their data. We have access to their users. We could we don't need to bring them in the project. They will participate through us. Don't worry about that, but we can present them as a successful case. So these are the things that you can sell to a successful proposal, successful project. And you are ending the notes with a call to action. So have a look at our idea positively. And if you think that we can work and we have a chance in expanding your project, then let's discuss that. So let's say that now that you are successful and the coordinator and the rest of the partners agree that you can join a consortium. Now, there isn't any specific project on how they are going to do that. If we want to be formal, then they should follow the consortium agreement. There is a decision process within every consortium. So you send the request for partnership, you have the budget, there is a specific instrument. They need to think about that. They need to examine what you have to offer and decide if they are going to include you or not. So it is up to you to sell your organization, sell what you have, what you can do better than the others, promote your advantages. This is what we mean. And convince the coordinator and the partners that you will add value. I'm writing technical here, but it doesn't have to be technical. It can be organizational value. It can be any kind of. Bring your network, not necessarily as partner of the proposal of the HOP-ON, but you can bring your network indirectly by working with your network and contributing to the success of the proposal. And of course, this is easy to explain how you are going to add in the value chain and you're going to increase the geographical coverage. Turkey is a big country. It's not difficult to convince them on that. Once they accept you to the proposal, then you need to prepare the concept. Don't forget that these partners have already done their part and they have already an existing proposal. Now it is your job to prepare the extra concept by reading what they have in place and responding to that. So don't expect any real work from them. Don't expect that they are going to help you. They may, but don't expect that they're going to leave their tasks and start writing the proposal with you. It's your responsibility now. And make sure that you integrate it with the existing proposal. This is what they are offering. They are giving you a successful proposal. So by the successful proposal, by the text of their successful proposal that you have, plus the discussions and the brainstorming that you will most probably do with the core partners, the major partners of the project, you should be able to write the work package and assign resources and estimate any other costs. Budget negotiation, it's more straightforward now. They don't have any restrictions. It's not their budget. So if you are bringing your budget with you from the HOP-ON facility, not a problem. There is nothing to negotiate really, unless of course they need to do extra work. So if they need to do extra work, then you need to take that into account. Eligible costs and ineligible costs during the preparation. You need to be able to understand the cost categories and create the budget for this preparation phase. So you have some personnel costs, including the employer's cost. You may have subcontracting. If you have subcontracting, this should be stated in the call. You may buy some equipment, and of course, there are all other costs. And last but not least, the indirect cost. Don't forget that in Horizon 2020, in Horizon Europe, we have 25% on all direct costs as the overhead. And of course, we have some ineligible costs. These are not difficult. The VAT, the fluctuation losses, and the interest wrong. These are all costs that are ineligible. So how should the new work package will look like? Now, I assume that it's work package 8, but it might as well be the last package, and most probably it will be the last package. But I assume that because usually the first and the last packages are work packages dedicated to project management and dissemination exploitation. So it would make sense to include something in between, but it's just the way you are going to present that. And of course, we have a new partner. Now, this new partner is going to participate not only in the single work package that will be dedicated to the new activity, but of course, you will have some activities in a few work packages of the rest of the consortium, I suppose, like the administration, dissemination, and exploitation. So it is up to you to estimate the months that you are going to work in this new work package that basically you are going to implement. I have that just as a reference point. So this is a simple way to estimate your budget and your average person months. Let's say that you have two researchers, director level or very senior researchers, let's say professors, and then you have one or two senior researchers, and then you have a few junior researchers, and you know how many months these researchers are going to be involved in the project, and you know, of course, the person month cost, and this is how you're going to estimate the average cost. This is how the budget looks like for every partner, for every project. You will have some personnel costs, you will have maybe some purchase costs, some indirect costs, and of course, eligibility and EU contribution. And we are wrapping it up, we are finalizing. Although this is something, this proposal writing process is something that you will probably do mainly within your organization, and you don't really expect a lot of contributions by others. It's always a good practice to disseminate what you have in place and ask for their advice, ask for their approval. In that way, they can never get back to you telling you that they didn't know, they didn't approve that, or anything like that, because you have already shared with them all the information that they need. Now, finalizing a submit, it's a full online process. You should be able to send your contributions in time, and part A and part B. I remind you the follow-up. I don't know if Hope On facility is faster, but usually you have up to 5 months. The Commission has up to 5 months from the call deadline since the moment that you will receive the invitation to a grant or the rejection letter. That doesn't mean that the Commission takes all 5 months. In cases where it's there are fewer projects, there are fewer eligible actors, or in this case where you will only have, let's say, a shorter call, then I believe that these 5 months will be a much shorter period of time. But the approach is the same. You have an evaluation. If you are not validated, you are invited for validation. And then the commission informs the beneficiaries and you can start the grant preparation. And that's it. That's the whole session. Before I close it, I want to show you an example on how you should and what you should look. Okay, let me share my screen again. Okay, so you should be able to see the funding and tender portal. Now, okay, you know where to find the HOP-ON facility, but how are you going to find the cluster 2 calls? Now, you need to search basically for calls that are closed, right? And they're not tenders. So if you're looking for cluster 4, let's say, then these are the calls that are closed, 165. Of course, these are only for the new period, only Horizon, and they are listed here. Take a note at the deadline time. Now, their deadline, let's go to that one. Let's go to that one. And that was Human 120, the piloting a new industry academia knowledge exchange focusing on companies' needs. It was a CSA. The deadline was 21 October. And let's go to the call updates. The call updates, you can see that the last call update was March 30, and you can see all the proposals that were submitted. And it says here that the commission has now completed the evaluation of the proposals submitted. Number of proposals, 206, inadmissible, ineligible, above threshold 135. We recently informed the applicants, okay? So the invitation mail to sign the grant agreement or the rejection letter has already reached the applicants. So you cannot find it here, but the applicants already know. It is expected that the first grant agreements will be signed by June 22. That's now. So that means that if you go now into Cordis, information on the selected project will be published on Cordis after that date. So if you go now into Cordis, I don't think that you will find anything in cluster 4, but let's look. No, there are a lot of things. Maybe this one. See parent program. Yes. So here are some of the 32 results. These are, I believe, all calls under cluster 4, and you can see here the specific program, the topic. That was cluster 5, that doesn't matter. And where the partners are. So you get an idea if this call was if this consortium is right for you. And from a first look, it is. Austria, Spain, Germany, Italy, Germany, Sweden. No widening countries in that one. No widening countries. So if this is something that interests you, it is something that you can pursue. And this is the way you should look for potential proposals. You look at the funding and tender portal, you identify the calls that you are interested in, and then you go to the Cordis website to find out if these calls are available and if they are willing to take you as a partner. So that's all from my side. I don't know if we have questions. I cannot see any questions. Do we have any questions in any other medium, Kemal?
I just checked Slido as well. Odysseus, seems we have no questions.
Mm-hmm. Everything was so clear.
I think that I had comments or remarks or questions, and I had closed the video, Odysseus, but I was excited for many things that you mentioned, but perhaps we could move to the session 4 and the discussion.
Yes, it's an open discussion, so we can start the discussion.
Actually, I will make some comments, remarks about
Diamantis,
things that were mentioned.
Sorry for interrupting. One of our valuable participants, Mustafa Ersoy, Professor Ersoy, raised his hand. May he ask some questions? Let me
yes, of course.
Promote him as a panelist. No?
Thank you for. Okay, can you hear me? You know.
Yes.
Okay.
We can hear you.
I mean, audience, you know, the problem, you know, to find, you know, you showed the last session about how do you find the proposal. Your recently granted proposal is able to for open facility, you know, to find the, you know, the countries from the, you know, Western European countries. Can you repeat again? How do you, you know, it is very fast. Can you repeat that you show already example?
Yes. So the way to look for proposals, well, this is my way. That's my advice. So maybe Diamandis has another process. But what I would do, I would go to the funding and tender portal. I would look for the clusters and the calls that I'm interested in. So maybe you need to have an overview of the work programs before you go there. So maybe you need to have an overview of Pillar 2. So say that, yes, we know that we are working on in Cluster 6, and we are working in projects in agro-food. So you know what you are looking for. You have a general overview from the work program. Then you go to the funding and tender portal, and you are looking for closed proposals, because these proposals need to be closed in order for you to make an approach to them. So you're looking for closed proposals, and you see the timeline. So let me share my screen again.
Yeah.
So you go here, and okay, I can see cluster 4. I was looking for cluster Glory, Industry, Academia, Knowledge Exchange, focusing on companies' needs. So I can see here that the call updates, usually at some point in the end, the call updates says that, let me make it bigger. So the Commission has now completed the evaluation of the proposal submitted to the above mentioned call. 206 proposals were submitted. 137 were above threshold total budget, and this is what it's important. We recently informed the applicants about the evaluation results, so they know. And it is expected that the first grant agreements will be signed by June 2022. So now, maybe these certain topics are not there yet. So if I look for that topic, let's say I copy that and I go to Cordis. I go to Cordis and I look for this call. Now, we already found results, some of them updated right now. So maybe this is one of the calls that was successful under this topic. No, it wasn't, it was another topic. But in any case, that must be a call under Horizon Europe. Yeah, this was the topic. So you start from the funding and tender portal, then you go to Cordis, and you will find the relevant calls. So it's not that difficult. It's not something that it will take you some time, because not everything is published at the same time, but you will find what you're looking for.
Okay, thank you very much for your answer.
So are there any other questions, Kemal?
I don't see any questions.
Okay, but if they appear, you can interrupt me and Odysseus.
Sure,
Feel
no
very
problem.
comfortable. Yeah.
No
So Odysseus, what I had in mind to ask you is that actually it was not a question, it is rather a remark or a comment that too much of what you were presenting could have seemed to any of the participants as too much theoretical, because also at some point it looked like too theoretical to me, in which respect that somehow organizations, I have experienced this also at the time that I was also, what I mentioned before, when I was having this collaboration with the German company, when I was in the University of Passau. So what someone actually needs is to get access to funding. And in many cases, scientists, researchers, they can do excellent work, even if they might be involved in a project that might not be in their key area of core research expertise. And it's difficult, or it is a little uncomfortable how one can open up to other areas without losing their focus, which will be lost at some point. And the other thing is that there is this lack of certainty about the investment that you will carry out by studying other people's successful proposals and projects. It's there, while you don't know whether there will be a successful outcome. But what I think we may miss as a point is that this exercise will enrich your network and increase your visibility. It may not bring results immediately, but it will bring results eventually if you also stay close to the network that you have improved. And again, here I will bring again examples from personal experience. One thing is that with Odysseus, we know each other since the previous century, and we had worked together long after we had met for first time, and then again it may have taken, which means that a network is an asset that we don't build in order to exploit or use immediately. So same like you plant a tree and you may harvest fruits if everything will go well after some years, which means that this need for extroversion and increase of visibility is there. and it is undoubtful. And it is an investment that you may see there that people may come back to you after 1 or 2 years, because they will see there that they have a need, they have an empty position in their consortium, and they might be very happy to invite you, because at this point that the hop-on facility proposals may have been prepared, they didn't have time, or it was too complicated, too chaotic, or too difficult, but they might come back to you after 1 year or 2 when they will need a partner like you. And all these good impressions that you managed very professional to make to their eyes will pay off in the long run. The other thing there is that this aspect about building, enriching, fostering, growing, taking care after your network, this is what I mentioned in a positive way. But let's imagine now how one can see the opposite side of the coin for that company that I mentioned before that. They have worked not only with me, but with another network of people, and they never cared to write back a personal email, not only to me, but also to the other partners and the coordinator of our project, which means that they had the opportunity to foster the personal contact and communication and collaboration we have had with them. And instead of doing this, they prefer to send these massive spam expression of interest massively on the portal, which may have been regarded as easier or faster, but on the other hand, it may have not brought any value to them at all. So sometimes doing the right thing may seem like expensive, but it can always offer us the opportunity to bring results, even if not immediately, but after some time. Yeah. Odysseus, the floor is back to you.
Well, I think I agree with you. I think it's a good opportunity to start building a network. I mean, often we discuss about how difficult it is to start building a network, and sometimes the difficulty in that is that you do not have something substantial to suggest. So you say, okay, I want to build my network in Horizon Europe, but I don't have any specific ideas or specific concepts to suggest. So what am I going to do? Am I just going to tell them that we're working in, let's say, artificial intelligence, and I'm here for them? But in this case, Hop-on facility gives you the option to find out something specific and start looking for ways that you could work on this. Now, maybe you will not be able to join any consortium, but at any rate, you will expand your network. Maybe that's something that will be beneficial for the next call, for a new call that will be written later on. It doesn't have necessarily to have with Hop-on facility, but it is an opportunity for you to approach potential coordinators with an idea. Even if this approach is not fruitful, it is a first step. You are establishing a way of communicating with this consortium.
Yeah, but sometimes it is also natural that we would like to get invited, or we would like to have everything taking place easier and faster. But I think that this is exactly what I also mentioned there, that this Hop-on facility is a shortcut. It saves you immense amounts of time, immense amounts of resources and efforts, and also it saves you from many cases where under normal conditions, a proposal needs too much time to be developed amongst the consortium. So here it's easy, because in many cases also for normal, so to say, consortia and normal other types of normal calls, let's say, you may be flirting, so to say, with a consortium, and at the end they might not commit to get you on board. So here it's much more focused. You have to see there, is one of the members of the consortium or the coordinator easier to approach them and make them an offer for working on this, and that's it. So it doesn't, it's not as complicated as it is. And I think that also this is something that also Beria, from your side, from TÜBİTAK side, you can see there, so that it will be a call that will be exploited as much and as best by Turkish organizations. And something else, because one mentioned, one of the participants asked there about multiple submissions. Yes, they will be de facto allowed and enabled, because just imagine a big university. There may be too many people there, researchers, professors, scientists who might be interested to apply for the Hop-on facility. So it might be very normal and well expected that there will be multiple submissions of proposals from the same entities. And this does mean there that, for instance, entities like Middle East Technical University, there may be many researchers, scientists from different disciplines who will try to use this, and this is normal, and this is very okay. And this means not that at some point there will be the reason that one proposal will be rejected will be that there were too many from the same organization. On the other hand, it may be that from the political perspective in the Commission, they might try to see there some balance, so that it will not be only Estonian universities that will, or partners that will be able to hop on proposals, and not partners from Latvia or Lithuania. Or, yeah, this is something that we should expect to happen. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. I don't know if TÜBİTAK, Beria or Asli has something to add in this discussion.
Yes, hi. Thank you very much. That was very, very informative. So what I can add from the NCP side is, yes, that the Commission is not updating the list to enter that fast. We are working on that. Usually we are trying to push it that it works better in the sense. But another way to do it is the way that Odysseus was doing and showing you. But there's a third way that you can also actually talk to your NCPs. If you're interested in a call, then the NCPs usually have a network, well, not the widening NCPs, but whichever cluster you are interested in. If you're interested in cluster 5 or cluster 4, then you can go to the NCP that is dealing with the calls, and you can also tell the expression of interest to them, because sometimes they know the coordinators, sometimes they know what kind of call this is. Sometimes there's some policy objectives that is behind the call that they can read better. So I also suggest our participants right now who are interested in the Hop-on to contact the NCPs that is specific for that call. That is also another important aspect I think that we can actually consider.
Yes, thank you, Dere. I think this is a very good option, because it will help potential participants taking the shortcut. So if you know that you're interested in a certain cluster, yeah, by all means, then approach your NCP, talk to your NCP. Your NCP will talk to other NCPs in the rest of Europe. And I think they will be able to direct you into something much more variable than you would be able to do that by yourself.
Yeah, also when you are, sorry, it says, when you are also thinking about the addition of the to the project. I know it's not that easy to actually find out what is missing from an abstract. That is not an easy job. But maybe, as I said, the NCP can also have a bit of a insight to the project, maybe a bit better than what you can read from the abstract. And so they can also help you just during the proposal stage, they can talk to you what you are doing and what might be the addition to the project that you are interested in, to the call to the project that is ongoing. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just looking at from the NCP, but you already talked about all the other parts, so
no,
I'm left with the NCP part.
It's very useful. It's very useful. I don't see anything else. I think we covered the subject. I don't see any other questions. Remember that we're always here to help. As we already said, NCP is a great way to start your search, and I hope that we will have some good results, and I think that's a good opportunity, and I hope that you will consider it.
Can I add one more thing? Sorry, if I feel like you're closing it. Just to say that I know that is the contact button in the funding and tenders portal. It looks like it's not working. You are just sending people emails, which we had the question before. But this is a bit of a luck, and this is not they don't have to have a partner from widening country in the Hop on call. This is completely, if they want to, it's possible that they just don't want to. They just don't need anyone. So don't feel bad about it. So because it's a bit of a luck and a matching thing. So just to increase your chances, talk to people and come up with a good proposal. But it doesn't matter. Maybe it's the best proposal, but they already have someone, or they just don't need anyone. They don't want anyone. So please don't be discouraged from it.
Yeah, but on this again, I think that once someone uses this button from the portal to contact a partner, it starts getting impersonal, which means that for me, for instance, I would have very positive idea and understanding for someone who contacts me. But if I understand there that it was an email that was produced massively and sent to all people who were involved in a project and ended up getting a message from an fictitious SME or organization, and also the text there seems that they didn't even care to understand what our project was doing about, and what they also offer is nothing relevant or nothing focused, then I will ignore it, and then it will be not a pleasant thing for the people. Yeah, but anyway, spending some time is always worth, and because we can always improve our strategy for the future. So even if there will be no result positive immediately, there will be some learning curve there. And this is what we mainly care about. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have heard from people that they get answers. So it's not like it's not working. It's just, unfortunately, it's a bit of a luck issue. So yeah, I mean, and I agree. I was searching for an internship and just sending emails like, dear professor, I am a student, 2,000 emails, and I never got one. So, you have to be specific. You have to be more to the project. We know that it takes time, but it's worth it. So yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Daria.
So,
thank you, Diamandis.
Then we may have nothing else than to close today's event, and you can always contact us, the help desk, or individually any of us over email. And many thanks again to the help desk and Kemal and Celine for everything you did there. Okay? Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.